Hello everyone, my name is Aud and welcome back to the Aud Narrations channel, a place that reads and discusses the best stories from Reddit. Today we're reading a couple stories and the first one is titled, Boyfriend's Comprehension Skills Cause Constant Arguments. As always, if you enjoy these videos, make sure to subscribe, it'll really help out the channel, thank you. Alrighty, let's make a start. The post reads, My boyfriend, 35 male, and I, 32 female, are always getting into small arguments because he lacks the ability to thoroughly listen and think before responding. He doesn't just do it with me, he does it to everyone and it's exhausting. For instance, I was talking about how mothers and fathers should be held accountable for providing for their children, and he interjected with, well, I think it depends on the parents' relationship. I said I disagree, because the parents' relationship has nothing to do with the child. He yells, bullshit, and goes on this rant, but the whole time he's literally saying the exact same thing I did. When I point that out, he says, no, you said only one parent should be responsible for taking care of the child. Brain explosion emojis, X3. Things like this happen literally every day, with me, with his family members, with strangers, and even when we're watching videos or movies. I ask, did you even listen to what the person was saying? And he's like, I did. They said ZYX. And I say, no, they said XYZ. We've been together for 3 years. How have you been together for 3 years with someone like this? And it's only getting worse. He thinks everyone is against him and nitpicking at him. Does anyone have any tips on how to make him realize that he creates his own misunderstandings? To be honest, it sounds like he's just half-baking stuff, not paying attention, and then plays the victim when you correct him. TLDR, my boyfriend creates misunderstandings by not thoroughly listening and thinks people are gaslighting him when they point it out. How can I get him to realize that it's him, not everyone else? They write an edit. I really appreciate everyone's responses. I felt like maybe I was being insensitive, so the replies here are very reassuring. I definitely have to move on for my own mental health, and it made me sad that a lot of you had experiences like this with your father. I would never want my child to have to deal with someone who made them feel, I guess, this way. Yeah, tricky one. I wouldn't have the patience to deal with someone like this. Someone who just is combative, but also incorrect. Confidently incorrect, or whatever they say. Whatever it's called. Like that. It's too much headache to deal with. Let's see if Reddit agrees with me. Someone's left a comment saying, you can't. The only person you can manage is yourself. Do you really want to keep dealing with this? He's too old for this shit. Someone else left a comment saying, the problem isn't just that he doesn't understand you. The primary problem is that he gets angry and yells at you when he thinks you're wrong. And that will be a problem even if you were actually wrong. You need to decide whether you're prepared to stay with someone who yells at you because he has an anger management problem. He's shown no interest in trying to treat or control it. I wouldn't stay in a relationship where someone yelled at me for any reason, regardless of whether I was in the wrong. Someone else left a comment saying, if he's too dumb to have a basic conversation with, it's not your job to finish raising him. Oof. Based, I agree. Someone else left a comment saying, my father does exactly this. I'll just say that it was one of the reasons my mum separated, but I don't blame her. It is fucking infuriating, and it gets worse the older they get. You should be able to have productive conversations with your partner, especially about important things. I love my dad, but the most important thing he's taught me was that I need a partner who has listening skills and self-awareness. Someone replied, saying, my dad also does this. His anger issues ruined my childhood. You could be 100% agreeing on a thing, and he'll get so mad. Someone else left a comment, saying, there are no magic words, though, to get through a poor listener with a victim complex. The only person you can control and change is yourself. Someone else has left a comment, saying, take him to a doctor and have him evaluated. He could have a processing problem with his brain. Honey, you know how everyone nitpicks you all the time? What if there is some type of genuine miscommunication that keeps happening? Let's visit a doctor and explain what keeps happening to see if there's a name for it. I think he'll take that very personally. That's just my thought on that. Someone replied saying he won't. He has a giant victim complex that keeps him angry asshole. From this comment, this issue is that he doesn't think anything is wrong with him at all, so he just keeps saying that everyone else thinks he's trying to play him like he's stupid. When people try and explain that it's just a misunderstanding, he takes it as a personal attack. There's really nothing she can do to salvage this. She can't help him, she can only help herself by getting out of this relationship. Someone else left a comment saying, does he have a hearing or auditory processing disability? They can be tricky to diagnose, especially the auditory processing one. If he does, he might have to try and find other coping mechanisms than what he's using right now. Basically, if it's a disability, give him some leeway, but ask him to get help. Otherwise, nah. This is no way to live. Completely agree. OP replied, saying, I believe he does, or I've always suspected that he has ADHD. The issue is that he doesn't think anything is wrong with him at all. When people try and explain that he just misunderstood, he takes it as a personal attack. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to deal with someone like that if they aren't willing to listen. And I mean, I guess consistently he's not listening to that either. But yeah, what do you think OP should do? What would you do in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comments. Sorry to interrupt the video, but only about 5% of my viewers are actually subscribed. It would really help the channel grow if you hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much. Alrighty, without further ado, let's move on to story 2. The story is titled, Overheard Husband Talking Shit About Me to an Unknown Confidante, and he refuses to tell me who he was talking to. I'm so hurt, I don't know how to cope. The post reads, Background. He's cheated multiple times. Great start. I'm dumb and I keep taking him back. I hate myself for it. I recently caught him browsing OnlyFans after it had been established that I wasn't okay with that. We had both been working hard on trying to repair things lately, and that was a recent conversation, so after the confrontation over OnlyFans, my anxiety is up. And something told me to pop in on our Blink cameras while I was at work. I heard him talking to an unknown person, saying a lot of hurtful, mean, and untrue things about me. I could have puked. I immediately told my supervisor I had an emergency at home and needed to take my lunch break early. I went home and confronted him. He tried to lie until I repeated word for word the bullshit he had been spewing, and then he had the unmitigated gall to holler at me for tracking him. He knows that we have cameras. There was no subterfuge. He was just pissed he got caught saying a bunch of bullshit to make me look like I'm the problem when he's been the one steadily fucking up for years on end. Yeah, I'm wary, I'm watchful, I'm hypervigilant, I'm hurt, I'm angry, and I have every right to be. He can't seem to help himself. He's had an extremely hard time accepting responsibility for his own actions, and now it's our anniversary weekend, and he's fussing at me about, why can't we have a nice weekend? When he won't fucking tell me who it was, and then he lied to me about it. He swears it wasn't a woman, but I can't help but feel like if it was a guy, he would just tell me. The only reason to hide this is because he's afraid of how I'm going to react. I tried asking calmly several times, but he refuses to say. What do I do? Leaving is not an option. There is nowhere to go. Fundamentally disagree with that last statement. I completely agree with the take here that if it wasn't someone the guy was at least half interested in, then he would have just said the name, most likely. Given the history, this might be him trying to tee up a new opportunity by framing you as the bad guy and that he's the good guy and deserves more and so on. Yeah, there's no help, there's no fixing this. At the end of the day, it's exactly like they said in the previous video. It's not your job to finish raising someone. Let's have a look at the comments and see what they think. Someone has left a comment saying, why are you still with this loser? OP replied saying, that's not helpful to me right now. Everyone has a different journey on their own circumstances. It's not so simple to just leave, especially depending on financial situations. Someone replied saying, it starts with the acceptance that you are better off on your own and struggling for a short time than to be disrespected by your own partner in your own home. You don't have to live with a loser. You can take control of your own life and forge a different path. I'd actually add to this that by staying, you kind of put yourself at the disadvantage. Say your partner, your husband or whatever, decides all of a sudden to try and move in with a mistress or whatever. If you're attaching yourself to him like this and you don't have any escape plan prepared at all, he can leave you completely high and dry. To look out for yourself here would be the best option and just start planning an exit. Even if you decide not to take it, you then know you have that contingency. Someone replied to the original, to OP, saying, make a plan then. What do you want us to tell you? Your husband doesn't care about you. Do whatever you need to do to get out of this shitty marriage. This is not fixable. Get a full-time job, go back to school, rent a room somewhere. Something. Someone replied to that, saying, you know who he was talking to. He was degrading you to a female so she could help him with his toxic significant other. There's only one reason to lie about your wife, that's to get or keep a girlfriend. The only person working hard on reconciliation is you. He knows you're not going anywhere, and he'll have the next conversation where you're sure you can't hear. You're trapped in a cycle. He cheats, you get mad, you forgive, he acts right for a while, and then cheats again. You didn't randomly decide to check in. He's acting in a way that is familiar to you, so your intuition spoke to you. Oh, that's a good point. You have to work on emotional detachment from him and the marriage. Everything else will follow from that. People tell you to leave because from your own story, this man doesn't love you and has shown you repeatedly who he is and what he wants to do. You can't bully, silent treatment, or love someone into loving you back in the way you need them to. He needs something you can't provide. Completely agree. I think it's a really interesting perspective on your own intuition spoke to you and got you to look, as opposed to you just did it randomly. Yeah, I like that. I agree. Someone else left a comment saying, he's a loser, girl. To which OP replied saying, we've been together for 10 years. I've no idea how people just walk away after all that time. We have a whole life together. To which someone replied saying, but you could get out and be with someone who doesn't do this to you. Do you really want to spend the rest of your life fighting with this? I'm almost 20 years in, and I swear on my kids, I would be out the fucking door if he did that shit. Spot on. Someone replied to OP saying, he doesn't love you. If he talks shit about you and tells lies about you to an unknown person, you even called yourself stupid for taking it back after he cheated. In my opinion, you need some serious therapy to find out why you let him treat you like that. Someone else replied to the original comment as well, saying, you have spent 10 years being his sloppy seconds live-in side piece. Fucking hell, rough. You've never held him accountable for cheating, and if you don't do anything about it, he won't stop cheating. And he has no respect for you or love. It's up to you to break the cycle and walk away, or stay with him and get an STD, or be a step-parent to his affair baby. The choice is yours. Someone else has left a comment saying, he knows you can't divorce him. I think you should think more realistically instead of expecting a miracle. For example, pretending to forgive him and then making your own exit plan. Even if you can't get a divorce now, you can save up the money in a few years, or an open relationship. That would throw a spanner in the work, wouldn't it? Someone else has left a comment saying, do you see a therapist by yourself? Honestly, at this stage, I say forget thinking about the marriage and what to do there. Instead, think about healing yourself and bringing yourself to a more calm, clear, peaceful mental state. You have some deep issues that you need to work on about yourself, and I don't mean this in a negative way at all. I mean that you would really benefit from seeking some more trained help. You're not going to like the answers here because either you've put so much into this marriage that you're unable to walk away, sunk cost fallacy, or you don't love yourself enough to leave. Either thing signifies there's some baggage that you haven't shed yet. It's almost impossible to make good decisions when you're not in a good frame of mind. Just go with the motions while you work on yourself in the background. Or if you're able to, leave even temporarily and then leave but still get therapy. You are worth so much more than in the life you are living right now. OP replied saying, thank you for your candor and kindness. I'm in the process of getting a therapist now. Good. I haven't gone for years, but I know I need to work on me no matter what happens. Someone replied saying, that's the important part here. You work on yourself first and the marriage after that. If the marriage can survive multiple cheating, then it can survive while you give yourself a 100% of yourself. Reading your history and getting the sense that I'm getting your emotions, I truly believe this isn't about him and it's about you instead. Take care. Someone else left a comment saying, Google the sunk cost fallacy and don't let it steal the rest of your life. Someone replied saying, probably the most important thing anyone can internalize in general. If the situation changes, the approach needs to also. Nobody would just keep standing on rotted wooden floorboards when they're the only thing between your body and a 40-foot drop. This is really the same type of thing. It would be nice if this was the sturdy floor you wanted 10 years ago, but it is not. Someone left another comment saying, of course he's going to continue this because you keep accepting it. It's a sad reality. You say he has low self-esteem, yet here you are the cheerleader for a man who thinks nothing of repeatedly tearing you and your character apart. You can't even leave, yet you know exactly what you're staying with. Why complain? You've made your bed repeatedly and all you do is try to justify your decisions to stay whilst complaining about how unfair it is. You need to fix you before you can ever fix anyone else. Someone replied saying, harsh but rings true, and OP replied with, agreed. And to be fair, I agree with the second comment there, harsh but rings true, which is, it's on the right lines, but it's a pretty rude way of putting it. Right, heavy stuff. What do you think OP should do? What would you do in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comments. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the subscribe so you don't miss the latest upload. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.